Brady, obviously, he's from Canada. He's a big time fix and flipper developer. Multi-unit guy up in Canada. Comes down to Florida. Literally gets into his first short-term rental deals almost immediately. We hit it off. He became a one-on-one coaching client, and then Storage Syndicate really started around March time. So Brady was one of the first guys in, and literally had his first deal closed in under 2 months. Somewhere like 6-7 weeks from the time he joined the syndicate. Quick to pick up on things. Obviously, an action taker. Checks the risk and the reward and just goes for it. Right. He's like one of the ready, fire, aim guys, which I love. But I'll let him tell his story a little bit. And of course, like I said, I think he's got a little presentation for you guys, and then we'll open up to Q&A. So.
Doing self-storage in the USA. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story because I think it all matters. I mean, we're all creating our own story. Now, right? We've all lived one. The reason, and we always, we have a vision as to where we're gonna go, which is gonna be, creating the story that we're gonna live soon. So, I've got two little daughters, and Christy is my wife. So we're in business together. This is where I am right now in Ontario. We're big boaters. We've got this boat called Living the Dream. It's really a motto. We do what we do to create the life that we want and create the lifestyle we want. And I mean, it's kind of like the work hard, play hard motto, right? We've got a big team in Ontario. We love travel and doing hard shit with like Ironman and stuff, but I'll dive into that. So just to kind of back up, we started investing in real estate in 2015. We've got a bunch of companies, property management, construction companies, and now in an education company as well, with regards to teaching people how to invest in real estate and creating systems and processes around so you can actually create a business. A lot of people struggle with that aspect of that, they end up being solopreneurs. So we created an education arm in our business as well. We were focusing on duplex conversions. We've got 10, 12 unit buildings, obviously now self-storage facilities that we'll get into. We started building these things called coach houses, detached coach houses. I know they're a thing out in I believe out in California, but it's a model where you can actually build like a single family home behind your duplex or any house really in Ontario, which is kind of cool. We've done tons of bursts, flips, land developments, new construction. I'm one of those crazy guys where it's just like, I've got a problem and we'll buy the excavators, we'll dig into the city streets and do all the excavation ourselves. And it's really, and I'm going to talk a bit about this, and it's just like, it's not that I need to know how to do it, like operate the equipment or dig into the city streets or, tie into a big ass sewer main or water pipe, but I know I can probably hire two people that know how, right? And really that's like kind of the story of our growth into the US is really and I'm going to talk about it a bunch of times. It's the who, not the how, right? You don't really need to know how to do all this stuff, but you really do need to know who can help you. Right. So I will take it back a little bit because, and again, you can use this if you want, but when you're telling a story, especially, your story showing, that it's not perfect is actually really good. So I know that this is not part of the Storage Syndicate, but I think it's just like, when you're pitching stuff to investors or whatever, telling a real story that kind of knocks you off the pedestal sometimes is important. So I'm just going to do that to myself. Started in a small town. This was me playing X's and O's on my face, horrible divorce, got messed up. There was no extra money. So I actually started my own lawn care service when I was 11 years old to pay for my goalie equipment. That's just like, again, it's just like, okay, the problem is, I got goalie equipment. My parents aren't going to pay for it. They can't afford it. How do you solve it? You go make some money, right? Lost my license for drinking and driving, complete idiot. My parents said, okay, Brady, you got to go to college. You got to grow the heck up. And so that's what I did. The most successful person that I knew or my parents knew was my uncles from up north, actually, forest firefighters. And so they said, okay, you're going to college for forestry, right? You like the outdoors, perfect. This is what you do. So fast forward, I dropped out of college. In between first year, second year, I got a job with Hydro One, which is a company, like a corporation in Ontario that looks after all the power. It's a power company. Okay, so I was a utility arborist there, so a glorified stick picker. I'd climb the trees, rope and rig these things down, right? And then I was good at it, and I went outside the box and started creating these quizzes and some of these courses and content for the, on my own time for the company, and then they ended up giving me a full-time like instructor's job. So I did that for 14 years, and I also had a side hustle, which really taught me again the problem with the corporation and union world is like, you can only go here regardless of what your drive is, right? Where I saw in the tree service, if I put all this extra effort in putting these signs of the trees, quoting a whole bunch of jobs, I get the equal rewards. So the turning point for us was really in 2014. We wanted more, we wanted freedom, we wanted, the lifestyle. Funny enough, back then, so I was working in the corporate world, we were actually looking into developing storage facilities. Buy the land, develop it. These, you don't have any toilets, you don't have any tenants, all these benefits. But the realization was like, there's so many barriers to entry. It took a lot of money. I didn't know anybody that did it, right? And it took till now to like realistically driving down to the United States, meeting Joe, getting into the storage syndicate, where a lot of those barriers to entry were removed, right? And funny enough, I'm just kind of fast forwarding now, but this is why I never did it back here in 2014. So what we did was we did what most people would do, started with duplex conversions. We bought one property, proved the strategy, proved the system. And, our focus was converting these single family homes into duplexes. And I'm going to talk about this being forced to grow. Okay. Because I really want everybody to really, I was forced to grow like our business was and our model because probably my mindset, like my mindset was just like, okay, what's the next easiest thing? We got really good at this. We were doing 25, 30 deals a year, right? 35 deals a year. And from 2015 to 2019, the market just kept going up and up and up. So I was forced to do something different, which was then convert these single family homes to duplexes. Okay. And then we'd build these detached coach houses, which you can see in this picture, which is like a 650 square foot house in the backyard. So now I had a single family home that I converted to a triplex. I'd refinance it, we'd get all of our money back, they'd cash flow like crazy. We did 40 of those. But again, so we're just, the market was going up and up and up and up and up again. And we're again, just forced into the next hand, which, luckily we were getting good at this now, but we went back and actually redid our vision board, which again is a really big step. And you'll see here, this Canada, the US thing, this is on a vision board since 2020. Okay. So since then, in the last 2 years, like we've done most of this stuff that's on here. Actually, Joe and Brian and I, we climbed the damn mountain, didn't we, boys? But these vision boards are really important. So I've completed a lot of this stuff, but again, just the importance of really getting clear on the big vision, the big goal. Cause again, if you don't have a destination in mind, how are you going to get there? It's like going on a road trip with no destination. Right. Okay. So this was a huge pinnacle. I'm going to talk about mindset. Okay. This was where things changed. Okay. And I know we already mentioned this, and I don't know if this is right. I don't know. I just know this is what worked for me. Okay. Like this is really when my life changed. So I did the 75 hard. I know like we've already talked about, a bunch of people are doing it. This was me. I don't know. You guys don't in US don't know Doug Ford or Rob Ford, but he was the guy that was doing crack, the Toronto mayor. This picture reminds me of him, right? You Google him and then take a memory shot at this picture. That was me, right? I was drinking too much, hanging out with the guys, talking about stupid shit, talking about hockey, talking about sports, drinking on the boat. There's really nothing productive, right? And I was just fed up. My buddies, again, your network is your net worth. Some of my buddies down the States, they were doing this thing called 75 hard. And I said, what is that all about? And they told me, and I'm like, and I tell my wife, I'm like, no drinking, gallon of water, 2 workouts a day, all this stuff. She just laughed her ass off. She's like, Brady, there's no way you can not drink. I said, yeah, I kind of feel the same thing, but I'm going to give it a shot. It's worth a shot. It's so big of a challenge that it's worth trying. So, and I crushed it. I know how hard it is. It's completely a mental toughness challenge, but what this does is it teaches you that you can do hard stuff. It teaches you to do the right thing even when you don't want to do the right thing, right? This is actually a picture of me doing my second workout. These feet are my wife's feet when she was giving labor at the hospital to her second child. So anyway, I kind of enjoyed that. Little nurses did too. But anyway, so what happened when I did that, my equity deals went from $100,000 per deal to $1 million deals. I just got clarity, right? So, I was living in part one when this actually came to fruition. I was living in this house. This is a rental. We were building our new house, and I was sitting right here, and I was pedaling, and it was snowing like hell. And I'm like, hey, if I buy this house, and then I sever the backs off these, and I could build another purpose-built duplex and coach houses and have one, these two lots, two houses turn into 9 units, right? Just the clarity of what happened. So that's ended up what I did. And then that scaled into a $15 million. That was a $15 million idea, but that was, again, directly not related to business. It was related to a mindset. Okay. And then just getting clarity as to what you need to do and what you need to do next. That was the first time it happened to me. The second thing that happened, this is in November 21, and I'm going to lead, this is leading right into how I met Joe and how I got to, where I am in the last 6 months. So November 21, I reached out to a buddy of mine from Texas, living in Puerto Rico. And I said, dude, I want to do this 100-mile run from Key Largo to Key West. And he's like, dude, we're training for an Ironman. And I'm like, shit, I've never swam like that. I've never rode a road bike. I remember my buddy at the gym like years ago telling me about this Ironman that he did when he was like, 10 years younger. And I'm like, you're absolutely nuts. There's no way I can do that. Anyway, when you surround yourself with the right people, right, that are doing the things you want to do, that you aspire doing, and you like bond, you join forces, right? They're like, shit, we got an accountability group. We're learning this together. We're going to do it together. We got 4 months. You could do this. That's what I did. I started training, right? The results from this were unbelievable. Like they were the same as the 75 hard, to be honest. So it's 4 months of training. I did it under 6 hours. I'm doing a couple other ones coming up. But again, this is a physical fitness challenge. This has physical fitness benefits, but in my opinion, it's still mental toughness challenges, right? If you train your brain, everything else is gonna fall into place. So remember how I was telling you, like throughout our other career doing residential stuff, like we were always forced into the next move because the market pushed us there. Well, 2021, 2022, like that changed. I said, screw it. I'm not going to just let the market push me. I'm going to be purposeful about my intent, and I'm ready. I'm making this next move on purpose. Okay. So that's when I started driving down to Florida. This is on December 8th, 2021. I was driving there. We didn't know anybody. We didn't have a plan. We didn't know we were going to stay. We didn't know what we were going to invest in. We didn't know the strategy, but I did know one thing. I knew the next thing. That's all you need to know, is to figure out what the next best thing is that you're going to do. And I went to this mastermind. I had 3 goals. Okay. Actually, I had 3 goals. 1, creating relationships with rock star real estate investors, the guys that have done thousands of flips like Joe, right? Guys that have done thousands of units. Some of these guys, the one guy in the room was doing $1 million a day in his company, right? Surrounding yourself with the right people in the right groups, like this syndicate, is where you grow. Right. The next thing I wanted to do is learn about and determine our strategy. Right. So I decided that I'm going to flip 20 to 30 houses. Like I probably bought 3 or 4 houses in the first month, right when I left this mastermind in Florida. I was going to do syndications, and I was going to develop self-storage facilities. I was going to do 3 to 5 a year. That was my goal. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Right. But I knew what I had to do next. The next thing I had to do was call Joe after that mastermind. I'm like, I don't know how to do this shit. I know how to build stuff. I know how to get stuff done, but I don't want to I've ran into roadblocks. I tried to invest in the US before and it failed. I've had the idea of investing in self-storage before and it failed because there's so many barriers to entry. I was going to remove those barriers, and Joe was my barrier. Joe could remove the barriers, right? He had this storage syndicate going on, the coaching program. So that's really what happened. I literally called Joe on my way back. Joe, you probably remember this. On my way driving down from wherever we were up in the north of Florida, we had a call on the way down. We have a quick conversation, and like Joe was probably trying to sell me, and it was like not even required. It's like if my money could have already been in his bank, I was like, I already know who can help me. Problem solved, right? So the who, not the how. You don't need to know how to do it, but you need to know who can help you get to that next step. Okay. So that's really what happened. And I knew I wasn't going to do it alone. And that's really, I feel like I'm selling the shit out of this, but I'm not, because I don't do that, but like, it's just the reality of these types of spaces, right? You don't need to know it all. You just need to know who to get the answer from or who can help you, right? So to be honest, like, we're living like hobos. Like, I don't know, we have a really high net worth, but I don't know if this look like you've got a high net worth. Probably not, right? The only thing we were missing was the bunch of beer cases on the friggin' floor with a TV stand as a TV stand. That's it. But this is how we lived for probably 3 months. Remember, Joe, like, we didn't even have a conversation about self-storage for 2 months because he's like, we got to focus on getting your life together first before we talk.
I didn't know where you lived. Every week I had to ask you what house you were in. I don't think you ever unpacked.
No, like, this is literally what we did. This was one of the houses that we closed, and like, we just bought a bunch of furniture. We started putting it together, and this is how we live. But while we were doing this, this is the time. This is what imperfection looks like when you're taking down your first self-storage deal. It doesn't need to be perfect. Right? I was so freaking committed to the results that I was going to take the action to get there. Right. And so then this was the point where we got started in self-storage, really. Like, this was probably 2 months into our coaching, I would think. I started coaching with Joe, got into the syndicate, and I was really trying to get clarity on what the big picture looks like. I need to know, what are all the pieces? Like, what is the land size, the process, a lot of the stuff that everything you teach in this was what we were having before, this was all a thing. What is everybody's roles in it? Who does what? So there's a land guy, there's a money guy, there's a guarantor, there's, the expertise guy that knows the renovations and the correct construction. And then there's financing and timelines, right? So actually, funny enough, I had a conversation with Joe, and Joe and I were like, I'm like, Joe, what is your honest opinion? Should I do all of the work and find the deal and, go through the due diligence and learn the steps of the due diligence and do all this underwriting myself? Or should I just take down one of your SRS deals? And, both of us kind of came up to the same result, was that, what, you Brady, because of your experience, you can probably just do it all yourself. But then, be honest, I was driving, this is us in the Jeep, driving to Jacksonville. And I remember Thad posted a deal on, this was like, okay, so we had that conversation yesterday. Today, we were driving to Jacksonville. I was taking my daughter to a concert. And, Thad posted a friggin' thing about, this deal in Texas and $10 million equity. I'm like, dang. I'm like, and all it came to my mind is like, okay, I can take action now. I can go get through this deal in the next month. We literally had 30 days to close, or I can take my long ass time and try to do it all myself. And that could take 6 months, 8 months, a year, right? Like, the most important thing that we could do now is transact, do something, contribute to something, get into a deal, that is the most important thing. And I realized that. And so I'm like, the plan that we agreed yesterday was like the plan that we threw at the window today. Right. And that's literally what happened.
All right, we just arrived to Jacksonville. What did you do?
I just want to play this.
So ducking somebody is actually a thing. This guy's obviously been ducked a lot, but Kylie just ducked this Jeep. Look. What do you think, Kylie? This Jeep's been ducked.
It's our first duck.
Anyway, sorry. I just had to play that because that was actually real. So, so we said, duck the plan. Let's get into this new thing. So this deal closed. It was supposed to close in about 30 days. I think it ended up closing about 40 days after. Anyway, and the reality is that you just have to remember this point right here. Sometimes later becomes never. So do it now. Sometimes later becomes never. Like, a lot of times people put it off, or they delegate it to their list or something, right? Like, you need to delegate it to your calendar, right? And just get it done, right? It's just, if you can save 6 months, a year by taking a piece of a pie instead of the whole pie, right? Like, that's what we need to do today. So, and Joe mentions this all the time, and I've stolen it too, like turning decades into days. Really, that's what this did, right? And it takes them 4 months, 6 months to underwrite or to get these deals through due diligence, right? That's a lot more risk that you have to assume if you're going to do it all, right? And this literally just saved me probably a year, right? So this is here. I'll leave you a couple more things. So you're only going to get in life what you have the audacity to ask for and work for, right? This is just the reality. You're only going to get what you go for. Like, you have to have the nerve and really the balls to work your ass off and just get it. So 10xing the deal size in 3 months. That's literally what we did. So remember that we go back to that 75 hard. I went from $100,000 deal to $1 million deals. The Ironman went from $1 million to $10 million equity deals. That's literally, again, I just relate to a lot of this success to these mental toughness, these physical fitness challenges, right? It's just clarity. It's just, you just, I don't know. For me, it's like meditation. I don't know. But so since, okay, we built the team, right? This is the $3.5 million syndication deal. We closed on that. Then I said to myself, okay, who do I need to actually build this damn thing? Right? Like and also to continue the business on, right? So we've since hired a chief financial officer, Tyler, chief development officer, my brother, acquisition specialist. He's on here, Rory, right? And so it's starting to be like, okay, now like it's imperfect action. I didn't have any of these pieces in place when I said to Thad and Joe that I was going to do this deal. No, I didn't have any of them. I just said, let's do the deal and we'll figure it out, right? And so since this is actually, so this was the one on 9th Street, and this is the next one. I just gave the green light for, was that yesterday? I sent the email 2 days ago. So this is another 130,000 net rentable, $20 million build, $29 million value, another Houston deal that we're taking down. So what do you think I'm going to do next? Right? I'm going to keep doing hard shit. Cause I mean, that's just, it's obviously working. Right. And I would urge you to do the exact same thing. Think and ask yourself this question. Are you just interested in storage? Or are you committed to it? Right. If you're just interested in it, figure out how the hell you can get committed to it. Right. I'm going to do more uncomfy stuff. I'm going to surround myself with winners. I'm going to look fear in the face. I'm not going to wait for tomorrow. I'm going to take action today. Boom.
Love it. Dude, that was great. I loved, and I didn't set you up for this, but I love how you ended with, are you interested or committed? Right? That is literally the differentiating factor, folks, between those that will do and those that will talk about it for a long, long time. That was an awesome presentation, Brady. I appreciate it. I actually wanted to share something with you guys real quick that Brady didn't have on his call, but there's Brady at the top of Machine Gun Ridge, which is a mountain just outside of Vail, Colorado. 13,500 feet of elevation right there. And just to prove I was there, there's me and Brady right behind the peak of the hill. And then there's just a Miller High Life at the top of the mountain as well. Just in case.